Welcome to the World Today on Channels Television. I'm Cynthia Ara. Here are our top stories. Now, the decision not to charge a white policeman who shot a black teenager in Ferguson, Missouri is still causing massive uproar in the United States. Demonstrators from New York to Seattle were mostly peaceful, but rioting broke out in Oakland, California. There was some unrest in Ferguson itself, with the police making 44 arrests, but it was much milder compared to Monday's violence.
Protests continue across the U.S. after a grand jury decided not to indict white police officer Darren Wilson for shooting a black unarmed teenager, Michael Brown, to death. In Ferguson, where the fatal shooting took place this summer, a group of protesters were seen overturning a police car, then setting it on fire. The National Guard, reinforced by several hundred troops from the previous night, quickly moved in to disperse the crowds and put out the fire. In New York's Times Square, a group of police officers surround demonstrators after an altercation and were seen carrying at least one person from the scene. Demonstrators in Los Angeles, Oakland, Houston, Dallas, Atlanta, Minneapolis, St. Paul, Kansas City, Boston, Cincinnati, and many more also came out to protest the decision. Reacting, President Barack Obama asked Americans to be constructive by engaging in debate about racial tensions and law enforcement. He also said demonstrators who engage in criminal acts should be prosecuted.
A grand jury made a decision yesterday that upset a lot of people. And as I said last night, the frustrations that we've seen are not just about a particular incident. They have deep roots in many communities of color who have a sense that our laws are not always being enforced uniformly or fairly.
Meanwhile, the man in the eye of the storm, Darren Wilson, says his conscience is clear and that Brown's race played no part in the encounter. He said he would have reacted exactly the same way if the late teenager had been white.
I had reached out my window with my right hand to grab onto his forearm because I was going to try and move him back and get out of the car to where I'm no longer trapped. And when I felt it, I just felt the immense power that he had. I mean, the way I've described it is it was like a 5-year-old holding on to Hulk Hogan. That's just how big this man was.
The U.S. Department of Justice has launched its own investigation into whether Wilson violated Brown's civil rights by intentionally using excessive force.
From Ferguson to Hong Kong, 7 policemen have been arrested in the country in connection with the beating of a pro-democracy protester. A police statement said the officers who'd already been suspended were detained on suspicion of assault resulting in grievous bodily harm. The incident took place on October the 15th amid clashes with police who cleared an underpass by the Admiralty camp. The announcement came amid efforts by the police to clear the Mong Kok protest site, which resulted in more clashes. More than 140 people have been arrested.
Hong Kong police scuffle with protesters clearing a major demonstration site. Joshua Wong and Lester Shum, 2 of the student leaders at the heart of the pro-democracy demonstrations that have shaken the Asian financial hub since August, were also arrested. Overnight, police had arrested 80 pro-democracy protesters in running clashes following the clearance of parts of nearby streets the previous day. Several thousand police were deployed after a court ordered the reopening of a blocked street in Mong Kok that had been the scene of some of the most violent confrontations in the 2-month-long Occupy Central civil disobedience campaign. Mong Kok has been a flashpoint for clashes between students and mobs intent on breaking up the protests, which has posed one of the biggest challenges in China's Communist Party leaders since the crushing of the pro-democracy movement in Beijing in 1989.
Now, unfortunately, at least 24 miners have been killed and 54 injured by an underground fire at a mine in China's northeastern Liaoning province. The mine is operated by the state-owned Liaoning Fuxin Coal Corporation, but the cause of the fire was not immediately clear. However, the company said the rescue operation has now come to an end. China has the world's deadliest mines, with hundreds of mine workers killed in accidents on an annual basis. But its safety record has shown signs of improvement in recent years as the authorities enforce a strict compliance with safety laws as well as procedures. Meanwhile, our coverage of the Ebola virus disease keeps us in China. Like many countries, China is taking extensive steps to keep the deadly disease from reaching its shores. But the government has released little information about just what those measures include. During a recent visit to China's southern port, Guangzhou, the city with the biggest African population in all of Asia, the Voice of America's Bill Ide got a first-hand look at the hotel where travelers from Ebola-hit countries are required to stay while being monitored by health workers.
This hotel is a crucial, unreported link in China's Ebola prevention measures. It is still open for regular business, but at least several floors have been reserved for potential Ebola carriers, health workers, and Chinese security officials. To find out more, VOA roamed its halls quietly. Those who spoke on camera asked that we protect their identity. Mohammed is a trader from Sierra Leone.
When I came first, I was so frustrated, because the place I usually used to stay, when I would reject me, when I produced my passport, I said, no, I'm sorry, we can't allow you. It was like 2 to 3 hours. I was so tired. I took about 15-hour flight from Africa to here. I want to ease myself. I want to take a bath, a tan.
After several hotel rejections, Mohammed finally learned the Hotel Canton was where he had to stay. Others here learned about it through friends. Everyone we spoke with said they appreciate having a place to stay for free, but some voiced concerns. A trader from the Democratic Republic of Congo says hotel staff change their towels but not their bed sheets. The assumption, she says, is the hotel burns their linens after they leave.
The disease is in Africa, so they have to take these measures. But they should not treat people like dogs. However, we're not sick. They come to check us every morning and every evening. They check our temperature and see if we have a cough. Since we've been here, no one has shown signs of the disease, but they don't trust us. We're not told anything.
Musa is from Togo but carries a Guinea passport. We interviewed him on the street outside the hotel after management voiced concerns we were disturbing its guests.
All the people from Guinea, Liberia, Sierra Leone, all those people who have documents from those countries are perceived to have Ebola as soon as they present their documents. But there are also foreigners who've been to those countries but are not considered to have Ebola. So it is not people who have Ebola, it is the passports.
For many of China's new arrivals from Africa, the measures in place here are unlikely to change anytime soon.
We'll take a break now on the world today. When we come back, Zimbabwe's vice president has been barred by the ruling ZANU-PF party from serving on its powerful central committee.